G'day everyone, it's Justin and
Scott.
Two dads again from Broome, Australia, and we're coming to you today in a 2022 Haval H6 Hybrid SUV. Okay mate, welcome to our first Haval on the channel.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah. Now, if you didn't know, Haval is the SUV brand of Great Wall Motors, which is one of the biggest auto manufacturers in China. Great Wall build the utes and things like that you've probably seen around.
Exactly.
Now, Haval's been in Australia since about 2013, and the H6 that we're in today is their mid-size SUV, which competes with others like, say, the Toyota RAV4 and things like that. Now, this is the hybrid version of the H6, and this was released in Australia in mid-2022, and it only comes in one spec level, which is the Ultra, which is the top of the range model. But I guess when you think of hybrids, you generally think of Toyota, don't you?
Definitely do, yes.
So there's been a lot of interest in this car to see how it rates against that popular RAV4 Hybrid. The H6 has a 1.5 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine and a self-contained electric drive motor and a battery, which puts out a combined, what Haval say, 179 kilowatts and 530 newton meters of torque.
Wow.
It's front-wheel drive and runs what Haval calls a dedicated hybrid transmission, which there isn't an awful lot of information about, but I think it's some sort of CVT transmission, continuously variable
Bit
transmission.
of a guess though, you're not sure. Yep.
But most people want a hybrid because of the fuel savings, and this one, according to Haval, will do 5.2 litres per 100 Ks on a 61 litre tank, which should give it a theoretical range of about 1,173 kilometres on a tank.
Wow, that's great. Yep.
Anyway, mate, you've had the H6 for a couple of days. How's it drive?
Yeah, as you said, this is the first one we've had on the channel, and so yeah, it took a bit of getting used to, I've got to say. I suppose all the entertainment system, all the menus, a little bit different to what we've had in other cars, so you know, it took me a while to navigate through everything. But let me start with, I suppose, the driving. You obviously you get in and it's quiet because it's a hybrid, starts in electric mode, so just knowing that. And then from there, I think the ride quality is okay. Steering there's not a lot of feedback from the steering wheel. There are 3 different settings you can put in, but I didn't find they did a lot. Certainly didn't add any feedback to me, so feels a little bit, I wasn't getting a lot of feedback from the car in terms of that. In terms of suspension, ride quality, it does hit the bumps pretty hard. I felt like that could have been a little bit more refined. And in terms of the power, which I think you just went through all the details, which is quite complex in terms of this car, I think that's one of its real strengths. It definitely takes off quickly. It's got more than enough power. It's quite quiet when it does do that. The moving between both the electric motor and the petrol is just really seamless, so I think it does that really well.
It's very smooth, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
But I suppose the one downside is you and I both noticed that because this only comes in front wheel drive, if you really give it a bit, you can actually just spin
not even give it just a little bit.
That's right, you can spin the front wheels really easily, right? And that was in the dry, and I wasn't even in the wet or anything. So it felt like that probably needed a little bit of refinement as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, mate. I've driven it around town. I took it on the freeway a little bit, and you're right. You do feel those bumps, the rebounds on rough roads. But I reckon, like, when I took it on the freeway too, like, you do hear a bit of tyre noise at speed. And I reckon that maybe, like, it comes with Hankook Ventus tyres, 225 55/19s on the car.
Yep.
But you know, like, I've had a good experience with Michelins, like, for quietness. So maybe if you chuck a set of Michelins on it, it might quieten down a bit on the freeway, which would be good for a longer trip. So, but yeah, overall, I think it could do with some Australian suspension tuning, couldn't it? So,
and we see that. We know the cars that do that. We always say how much better they are to drive. So yes, that would be a big benefit.
So yeah, the official fuel consumption is about 5.2 litres per 100 k's, but I found that I did get it into the mid fives during the week if I was, really careful. But the average was in the sixes, so yeah, so it's pretty close to what they're talking about. It does use 91 octane unleaded too, which saves a bit of money as well, which is good.
That's good.
Yep. Did you know something about the instrument display? Does a certain sort of American brand swing to mind?
I think I know where you're going with this. I think you may be referring to Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny? Like when you drive it and you see the little car there with the little the lane images and things like that, especially when you put it in active cruise. That's just like a Tesla.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, and why wouldn't you really copy one of the leaders, the one that's got a lot of respect? You'd probably take some cues from there, right?
Yeah, a lot of tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and when I tried the active cruise on the freeway, which uses cameras and radar and stuff like that, seemed to work pretty well. Like, it was able to stay in lanes. I know some people have commented about the car, not being 100% refined for Australian conditions and things. And I think we discussed that before we started shooting, that, it probably just needs a little bit more refinement in some of the things about the tech in the car, doesn't it, for Australian conditions? But maybe
I think so,
a bit of Australian tuning could actually fix that. The towing capacity is 1,500 kilos braked, so that's not too bad. But if you are going bush in the hybrid, there's no spare tyre.
Yeah,
I think a can of goo.
That's a shame, right? So yeah, it really is a shame.
I just wanted to mention something about this particular car too. Like the car we've got from Haval today, unusually for a press car, it's got 15,000 k's on it. It's almost 15,000 k's.
Yeah.
So, mate, there's no rattles or squeaks in the thing. So in terms of quality, it seems to be okay. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're going to hear them, you're going to hear them by 15,000, right? So, and there's nothing.
And
it feels
everything
very
works.
solid.
Like everything I used on it worked. So that seemed to be good. But I did find one little thing that what was a little bit of a concern was the chrome trim on the outside, especially on the driver's side, seems to have faded a bit. So so starting to turn a bit brown. So.
It's only 12 months old, this car. That's a bit worrying.
Yeah. Okay, mate, let's have a chat about family friendliness, practicality, safety. What did you think about the driving vision? I found that the rear vision was pretty good, but I particularly found these A-pillars and the large side mirrors, they tended to block my vision when I was turning. Did you feel the same way?
A-pillars didn't so much worry me. I'll probably say the opposite, actually. The window at the back is quite small. So, while the basically rear vision mirror, you've only got about half of that to look out of the back because the window's so small. So, I don't know, horses for courses, different ways people drive.
We'll differ on that one. Yeah, that's right. What about your seat comfort when you're in the car? I found like there's not an awful lot of adjustment in it, and I found that I was sitting rather like in the seat rather than on the seat rather than in the seat.
That we agree on. I feel like it's a fairly basic seat. It does what it needs to do. Probably not going to give you the greatest support over a longer journey. It's functional, but nothing special.
Yeah, I mean, you do get lumbar, and you do get ventilation, and you do get heated seats in the car. But the leather, I found, like we had some 30+ days recently. Like the leather tends to get a bit sticky on you. But I found that the air conditioning in this car was really good,
and we've really needed it the last few days. I needed it as well.
So it does
really
powerful. If anything, it might be a bit too powerful. I don't know. So but did you find it was easy to park?
It is easy to park. It does come with a self-parking feature. I didn't get to use that, but all the cameras, I've got to say, probably big thumbs up for those.
Yeah.
They're really good. You've got the 360-degree view ones. You can alternate between different views.
And the camera quality is actually really clear too. I mean, some cars that we jump into, we find that they have got a camera, but it's almost like it's 1990 or something like that, isn't it? But this car, the quality of the camera's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So, and it does come up when you've got the blinker on. But unlike some other cars, also when you're just steering to the left and the right, you also get the camera automatically popping up in the centre console as well. So that's a good feature.
So you like that?
Yeah, I did like that. Yeah,
that's good. What's your opinion on the interior styling and ergonomics and stuff? What do you think of that?
Well, because the hybrid comes in this top sort of trim. It is nice finish on the whole, I think, with all the leather
presents pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's good. I mean, the screen in the middle, we talk about that a lot. It's a big part of the modern cars. It sort of looks like it's just been plonked there. It hasn't really been built into the car, but
it's got a modern look about it.
But it all works really well. Digital dash. Yeah, no, I think that's all very impressive.
I did notice something though. I mean, it's typical of most cars these days though. Like it looks really nice sort of above your eye line, but when you if you look down there,
that's where the accountants save a few dollars, is it? Yeah, the bits we don't notice as much till later when we own the car.
Yeah, the plastic's a bit hard down there, so that's all right.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Did you find it was easy to find things in the cabin? Now, this is an interesting one, I thought. Yeah. What did you think?
I think I touched on at the start. I found this car very different to other cars, so it took a while to get used to, and to be able to start using everything. Now, one of my bugbears is things like the radio volume and the air conditioner. I really want knobs for those things, right? Whereas this is all controlled through the centre screen, and to get to know the navigation and stuff was not particularly easy to start with. But once you know where everything is, I suppose it's fine. That just took a little bit of doing. And there was a few other little bugbears in the fact that when the camera's on, so if you're in a car park and you're coming down a ramp or something, your steering wheel's on an angle, the camera comes up. Then you cannot turn the radio on or change the volume on the screen or change the air conditioner or anything while you've got the steering wheel on an angle. So you have to straighten up the steering wheel just to be able to use the entertainment system again. I found that a little bit frustrating. It just needs a little bit more refinement, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I think a lot of car companies are going towards these sort of like tablet sort of setups where everything is controlled through your touchscreen. But you know what? When you're driving, that's a bit distracting. Like I found that if I wanted to change something, and if you have to go into two menus to do it, yeah, that can be a bit dangerous sometimes too. Yeah, it is a 12.3-inch touchscreen in the Ultra, so it's a big screen, and it operates like a tablet. Like it purely is a tablet, isn't it? Like it's got widgets. However, there is no DAB and there is no inbuilt nav, but it does use Apple CarPlay. But again, you've got to plug it in. But if you like tech, then the Ultra's got everything. But I personally think tech is only good if it's usable tech. Yeah, so you will need to spend a fair amount of time getting to know this car.
There is a lot to configure.
It's
pretty much you've got to configure this car when you get in to suit you.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed like in some of the other reviews on this car, like some people have, like for example, the sport mode in this car, when you go into the menu to put it into sport mode, people are complaining that, oh, well, the hazard lights come on when you do it, but you can actually turn that off. Like you just have to spend some time in the car and actually learn the different screens and things like that. Like there's a second screen off this main screen which you're able to change your driving mode and steering mode and all that, just from one screen. So it's one of those cars that you've got to get to know, isn't it? So,
yes, exactly. Yep.
Okay, mate. You sat in the back. What did you think?
Oh, it's fantastic. There's heaps of room. So
it's
leg room,
surprisingly,
headroom, even shoulder room. It just felt really spacious.
It's a big car in the back here. Yes, it's bigger than a lot of other cars in a similar category, isn't it? So
absolutely.
You get very spacious leg and headroom. That standard panoramic sunroof that you get in the Ultra. Did you feel like you were the Pope when you can stand up?
Huge. I turned when I first got in the car. I went, oh my God, there's no roof, right? Like it's just all glass. It's like it's impressive. Yep.
And it's got some good features in the back for kids there. You get vents in the back. You get two USBs in the second row as well. There's some cup holders and things like that. So I think it's one of those cars, if you've got big kids, it's pretty good.
Yeah, we review a lot, don't we? We say it's great for the small kids, even medium size, but once they get bigger, it starts to really push the car and it'll be uncomfortable for them. This one, no, it'll be fine.
How'd you find the boot? I mean, I had to move a few things this week and had to drive it with the seats down, 60-40 split in the back, and mate, there's plenty of room.
There's heaps of room. Yeah. So again, it gets the family-friendly tick. It'll fit the school bags and the shopping and everything you want to do out there.
The only thing I found though, there's no underfloor storage at the back. That's where they put the can of goo and batteries.
Without even a tyre there. That's a bit surprising.
But it does have ample. In terms of safety, the car has 7 airbags. It's got autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and turning detection as well. You do get blind spot and lane departure warning. You get lane keep assist as well, which, you know, comes up on your dash and you know, steers you back into the lane, which I think you're going to chat about that in a sec. You get front and rear parking sensors with the 360-degree camera as well, rear cross traffic alert with braking, traffic sign recognition and adaptive cruise. And what did you think about the steering?
I think you forgot one, we just got to mention, so the intelligent dodge.
Oh,
so there's so much safety in this thing that it's even got features that we only just came across now. So intelligent dodge is when you're driving along in a multi-lane highway and maybe a truck has to veer across into your lane. Well, this car will detect that and move you across safely into the furthest part of your lane, I think is how it works.
Oh, okay.
So that's one I haven't come across before. So intelligent dodge. There we go.
Right.
But yes, getting back to some of all the safety stuff, right, is so rich in safety features, it's not funny. And it will feel a bit chatty to people if they've got everything turned up. You know, you'll get a lot of bings, bongs and alerts to the point where sometimes I think you're not sure what is going wrong or what they're alerting you to. That's if you got it turned up. Obviously you can configure it all whatever you want, right? So we're not going to criticise having too much. The only one that I found really hard to deal with was probably the lane assist, and I was forever fighting this car because, you know, not all of our roads are well lined and everything like that. So a few times it just was over. It was really working against me some of the times where I was trying to drive in what I thought was the safest way.
It was nannying you, wasn't it? So,
it was, yeah. So I ended up sort of really dialing it down because I found it difficult to deal with.
Well, that's a bit of a Tesla thing too. Remember the Teslas?
It is. I felt the same way with Teslas. So yes, yep. So that's why you got to go test drive these things, right? Because there's different tech in this. If that's something that annoys you, I've got that in my other car. It doesn't annoy me at all, right? But you've just got to make sure you could deal with that every day.
It's probably down to refinement, isn't it? It's about the engineers being able to refine the car. Like, I mean, this is I think, you know, it's got everything in it, but it could just do with a little bit more refinement for some of the tech and things like that. So,
yes.
Yeah. So, mate, in terms of value for money, like, it is a one model sort of car in their range. The hybrid only comes as the Ultra, the top of the range one, but the price of the Ultra is $45,990 drive away, which is about $2,000 under like a mid-spec GXL RAV4 Hybrid, which is around about $48,000.
Okay. Yep.
But you know, like, the amount of features in this car is just like phenomenal. Isn't
phenomenal!
It? So,
yeah, safety tech, you know, the quality of the finish and panoramic sunroofs and all sorts of amazing stuff. Heated seats, you know, the list goes on, right? It's a full list.
So would you agree, like, the value for money equation in this car is like brilliant?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes,
that's right. Okay, in terms of after sales, this car comes with a 7-year unlimited K warranty. The battery in this car is 8 years unlimited K as well. You do get 5-year roadside assist with it too, so that's pretty good.
Yes.
And it does come with cap price servicing. And looking into what you get with that, it's funny, this car, it's the only car I've really heard of doing this. Like, the first service, 1 year, it's 10,000 Ks.
Yep.
Then every service after that, every year, is every 15,000 Ks.
Yep.
So, like, in total for 5 years, 70,000 Ks, you're paying about $1,650. Now, looking at the Toyota website on a RAV4, you know, the equivalent car there, you're going to be saving about $300 servicing a RAV4. That's only about $1,300. So they're about $260 a service.
Okay.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So interesting, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, mate. Let's have a quick chat about X Factor.
Yes.
One of our favourite topics, I suppose.
It is.
So, is it the kind of car that when you're driving past, you know, seeing your reflection in a shop or something like that, you're going to check yourself out, or, you know, when you park the car, you're going to look back at it?
No. Sorry to be so. You know, honestly, it's got a couple of really good styling cues, this car. So let's not phase over those too quickly. Like many new cars coming out, it's got the big new grille. It's got a signature grille.
Yeah.
It's pretty imposing, you know, and that's impressive. We also note that the big brake light at the back that runs all the way across.
Yeah.
I think a bit Porsche-like or whatever that happened at one stage. They started that, I think, and that's got its own good image, right? So LED lighting, it's been able to recreate some of these images. So front and back, it's got some styling cues. I think the middle, it's just a good medium-sized SUV.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I mean, it kind of looks like a lot of the other ones on the market, which I think, as you always say, like it is hard to make an SUV stand out.
I wouldn't want the
So-
job. Yeah, I think it's very difficult. Yeah.
But mate, I don't think it's offensive at all.
No,
this
no,
car,
that's-
it looks okay. So, but yeah, maybe with the amount of sales that they're going to be doing with these things, I suppose you might find yours is going to blend in the car park. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
Anyway, just want to put a big thanks out to our friends at Haval Australia for our first Haval on the channel. Yeah, would you put it on your shopping list? What do you think? Is it worth it?
Oh, I think if I was family with some older kids, needed a car that's going to do a fair few kilometres, so you can get the savings of a hybrid. You wanted all the safety and the tech available. Yeah, I think this one should be on your shopping list. Yes.
And I heard you can actually get these, like, how there's delays in supply and stuff like that. Like with the Toyota, I heard the other day, like it's almost 2 years if you want a RAV4.
That's right.
or something
Yeah.
like
And
that.
if you've
But
got a
at least-
growing family, the family's not going to stop growing waiting for 2 years
Waiting
to
for
get
a
a
car.
Toyota RAV4 Hybrid, right?
Yeah.
So I think in that sense, this would be a good replacement. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've got to say though, if you're a bit of a like a technophile, like you like your tech, it's a good car. But if you're afraid of tech, yeah, maybe you might be a bit overwhelmed with all
I
the
think
stuff
that's
that you
very
can do
true.
in a car.
Yes.
So, yeah. But anyway, thanks very much everybody for all the likes, the subscriptions, and the shares, and please keep doing that. And I guess we'll keep churning out some videos for you all. So see you later.
See you guys.